Hey Credo students! My name is Rebecca Shasberger and I'm one of the cello faculty at Credo this summer. I'm based in Cleveland, Ohio, having moved out here to complete my graduate studies at the Cleveland Institute of Music, and then I stuck around after I was done. I had the pleasure of being a Credo student 4 times over the years, starting in junior high school as a camper and then came back twice in college as a counselor. And then I even got to work on staff for a couple of years after finishing grad school. It's exciting to be back this summer as a teacher, even if Credo 2020 looks a little different than usual. I hope you guys are enjoying yourselves though. I'm going to share with you today about a program I've had the privilege to start and run the past couple of years, and that is a strings program that takes place at the Grafton Correctional Institute, a medium security men's prison not too far from Oberlin. There are 15 men in the program who are learning to play the violin, viola, and cello. We have 8 violinists, 2 violists, and 5 cellists. Not quite perfect ratios for string quartets, but with the instruments we have, it's what we were able to do. Before coronavirus came to town, we were able to go to the prison every week for a 90-minute class. And during our time together, we do a whole range of things, from music theory and some note reading activities, to large ensemble rehearsals, to splitting off by instruments and doing some more specific instrument work, even some little masterclass moments, as I call them, which are the closest we can get to a private lesson, seeing as we don't have enough rooms or enough teachers to split up all the students individually. We do have more teachers than just me though. I say we because I go with a group of Oberlin Conservatory students. In the first year of the program, they simply volunteered to come with me, and then in the second year, this past year, it was actually part of a class they were taking at the conservatory. So once a week we were at the prison together, and then a second day each week we met for a chance to talk more about the context of working in a prison, learn some pedagogy strategies, and do some lesson planning together. I came to start this program in the prison after a somewhat winding journey. As a classical musician, I've long struggled with what it means to have this ability to play an instrument in light of a world where there's so much suffering and brokenness. What does it matter that I can make a beautiful sound when there are people dying of hunger? What does it matter that I can play this exciting, fancy piece when there are people living in a refugee camp? And I believe that it does matter that we have this ability to make beautiful music. And I also believe that that music shouldn't be confined to the concert hall and some of the traditional ways that we are trained to play and perform in certain spaces. So for years I've been on this journey to discover and explore what it could mean to bring music in new ways and in new places to a whole range of people from different walks of life and backgrounds. In the time following my graduate studies, when I was working on staff at Credo, a colleague introduced me to Dr. Jody Kirchner, who's an education professor at the Oberlin Conservatory. Dr. Kirchner was and is leading a choir at the men's prison, and I thought that was a really unique thing. I had not really heard about music programs inside a prison complex before. It just so happens that my learning about Dr. Kirchner's work coincided with a journey I was on in my own life to learn more about the justice system in this country, the rise of mass incarceration in this country, and there were a few really pivotal books that were part of that journey. One of them that I so highly recommend to everyone is called Just Mercy, and it's by a lawyer named Brian Stevenson, who's also a Christian. And it's just an incredible look into some of the difficult realities of our justice system, and in particular, the journey of one man who was on death row for a crime he did not commit. Another book that gave me a whole new level of insight into things is called American Prison by Shane Bauer. And another more uplifting book, The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton. They're all amazing reads, and I recommend them, although with a word of caution, especially for younger students who might be watching this, because they deal with some pretty intense and challenging subjects. I also had watched a documentary called 13th that traces the rise of mass incarceration from the abolition of slavery. Again, that documentary really gave me a new perspective on how our country and how our justice system works. So I had this increased knowledge and interest in things related to prisons, and I learned about Dr. Kirchner's choir. And so a conversation began, and Peter Slowick helped to facilitate that. I won't go into all the details because it was about a 9-month process from an idea to actually starting in the prison, which when dealing with a prison, 9 months is actually incredibly fast to get a program started. And we really were benefited from the fact that there was already this existing relationship with the choir and with a drama program. So the prison had a concept for the benefit of arts programs and had developed some trust with Oberlin Conservatory. So that was a huge benefit for us in trying to start a strings program. But from about the end of 2017 into the fall of 2018, we were able to lay the groundwork to start this program in the prison. And it's really become one of the most rewarding parts of my week. As a kid, I don't think I ever dreamed about going to prison every week, and people sometimes still think it's strange when I say that going to prison is one of my favorite things to do each week. But the opportunity to work with these men and learn from them has just been a really enormous blessing in my life. People ask me sometimes, what is it like to go to prison? Do you feel safe? Are you afraid for your own safety and well-being? And the answer is no, I'm not afraid. And at times, it's not uncommon actually to not even have an officer in the room, but it's really amazing to begin to see the men who are there, not just as the criminals or the convicted felons that society labels them as, but to come to see them as more three-dimensional people. They are respectful, they are hardworking, they are funny, they are incredibly resourceful, as one must be in prison, I suppose. And I want to share with you today some of their words. These come from some reflection questions, assignments that we did over the semesters, and I shared them with their permission. One of my students says, I have learned to be more patient with myself and others. This program has helped me calm down and be less of a jerk. Another student said, I am learning that although I am a beginner myself, other people look up to me musically and sometimes seek my guidance and help. This has helped me realize that although I have made mistakes in my past, I can still be of value to other people. I've also found that I actually like string music because before the program I had never truly paid much attention to the instruments or their music in general. Another student said, I am becoming a more humble person and learning to be more accepting of my shortcomings. Another student says, I am learning that I am an angry and impatient person. The violin is slowly curing that, though. I share these quotes not to give myself or the Oberlin students a pat on the back for our good work. I share them not to hold up music as the cure for all problems and the way we will all transcend to our better selves. Although certainly, as these quotes indicate, music can play a role in making us a better person, more the person who God created us to be, and it's a joy to get to be part of that. But really I share these quotes because so often people on the margins of the society who we don't have a chance to interact with in our daily lives are easy to overlook or vilify or create stereotypes in our minds about. And it's been such an incredible thing for me to be able to see and get to know these men as more than just the convicted felons that society sees them as. So I want to invite you to two things today. First of all, I want to invite you to learn, to look around you, whether in your local community, in your city, in the nation, around the world, and to learn about what's happening. Learn about places and ways that things are not as they should be, that the image of God has been trampled down in people, that people have abused power, that things are broken, and learn about the history that led up to those things. Learn about how they're being addressed currently. Learn from different vantage points, learn from different perspectives. But however young or old you may be listening to this, it's never too soon to start to learn in more depth about your community and some of the history and systems that shape what's going on right now, especially in broken places. The second thing I want to invite you to today is to dream. As you go through your music education, there will be a number of paths presented to you. You might pursue an education track and imagine yourself teaching in a classroom setting, and that's great. You might imagine yourself pursuing an orchestral career, and that's great. You might imagine yourself pursuing something else, a recording career or a chamber music ensemble, and there's so many different directions you can go with music, which is a beautiful thing. But I encourage you to dream even beyond the paths that people are presenting to you at this stage in your journey. Be creative in imagining what it could look like to bring your unique gifts, your unique talents, your personality, your quirks, your insights to bear on the world around you. One of my favorite quotes is from Frederick Buechner, a theologian, who said that our great gladness and the world's deepest needs intersect at the place where we are meant to use the gifts that God has given us. So today I encourage you to learn and to dream. And along the way, keep working hard. There's so much to be learned in your years of study through high school, through college. Keep practicing. But along the way, keep your eyes up, keep your face lifted to see where God might be inviting you to dream and imagine and continue on your journey of music in unique and creative ways.